There's things that I like in Richelle, hence the reason why I'm still standing here.
I do feel a little bit irritated with Orson. He said he wanted to stay, and then he gets on the sofa tonight and starts bringing up all this stuff that he'd never mentioned to me.
Commitment ceremonies are always challenging, and it's always interesting to see how people sort of navigate that, because it's a seesaw, it's a roller coaster whereby you have couples that are doing very well and couples that are not doing very well. And it's always fascinating how people are always trying to throw each other under the bus when they feel that they are in the wrong. So they're always trying to make themselves look very good in front of the experts. And I'm surprised that Emma and Casper and Stephen and Hannah are still there. I would have expected them to leave, followed by Polly and Adam, but hey, it is what it is. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight UK, Season 9, Episode 17. So it's the third commitment ceremony and the first one for the new couples. And you can see the awkwardness. You can see the tension in the couples. Obviously, they were getting ready. You've got some people, Polly and Adam, are on cloud 9 because now they're being physically intimate. How long that lasts, we don't know. Nate and Lacey are always very good, so I'm never surprised with them. Ross and Sasha bought a sign language book so that they could really learn how to communicate, which is amazing because communication is priority for Ross. He's always said this, which I love. And so you have Richelle saying that it's her daughter's birthday, but she's chosen to stay because she promised Orson that as long as he wants to stay in the experiment, she's going to stay. And it's like, make it make sense. Don't lie to us. Just say you wanted to stay. And then you have Hannah and Stephen. Hannah and Stephen are not in a good place. We all know they're not in a good place because of the issue with confidentiality and trust. So they are still staying in separate apartments. You have Emma and Casper. Oh my God, I'd nearly forgotten his name. Emma and Casper, they're not in a good place because of the issues that happened at the dinner party. Emma, I don't think quite understands what Casper's asking for because he's asking for fragility, and she, I think, is thinking that he wants her to cry all the time, which I don't think is the case. So I can't wait to see what happens with them at the dinner table, at the commitment ceremony. So first up is Luke and Amy. Luke and Amy have been doing amazing. They really have. They haven't really had any struggles. They've sort of just been on their own sort of little wavelength. I know at first Amy was cringed by the way he compliments her, and she's still struggling with the compliments she says. And the experts are sort of telling Luke that if your wife says she's uncomfortable with compliments, then maybe try and tone it back because that's not how she receives love. You need to ask her what her love languages are, more or less, so that you can understand what she needs. And he also agrees that he's trying to respect her boundaries. Well, one of her boundaries is the compliments, because if he's constantly complimenting her, then you're never going to know when he genuinely means it because it's just same old, same old. So I think he does need to tone it down, and then hopefully the day he does compliment her, she will appreciate that because she knows that it's coming from a very good place and it's very genuine. He says he likes that, she's a woman of principle and she hasn't fallen for his charm. I think he's used to charming women and getting his way, and so for him to have to do the hard work, it's something that's quite surprising, and so it's something that he's willing to do. And they both choose to stay. Am I surprised? No. Next up is Casper and Emma, and you can tell that Casper is done. Casper is already checked out. He's fed up because the last episode we saw him throw a fit because he was fed up of constantly having to rehash the same issues and same situation and not being recognized for any changes that he's making. So he says, this was the lowest point in the experiment, Meet the Parents, because they keep bringing up the honeymoon incident and he doesn't like it because that's his lowest point in the experiment, and he doesn't want to continue to go through that every single time. And I'm happy that he did that in front of the experts because the producers can't bring it back up because the experts have said we're putting a line under it. This is the last time we're going to address it. This is the last time we're going to discuss it. So the experts have to look for a different, well, not the experts, the producers have to look for a different narrative because they can't continue to bring this up because Casper said he's not having it. Anyway, you now have the experts have a conversation with Emma, because Casper's frustration is this woman is always positive. There is no way somebody can be positive 24/7. You are going to have your down days, so you can't tell me that she's always up. I need to see the ups and I need to see the downs to see what I'm dealing with. Emma's like, well, I can't be fragile because, that was just because I missed my friends and my family. And it's like, no. Everybody has a moment of weakness in their life. Everybody. Not every day is a good day. There are bad days. There are days you cry. There are days you scream. There are days you yell. And there are days you're happy. And there are days you're just quiet. You can't continue. I think Emma is a people pleaser. I know Paul said there's something called toxic positivity, which Emma said, she's been told before. Because I think she puts on a mask and she always wants to be happy because she's worried that if she shows the sadness, then people are going to run away from her. That's the impression that I get. And so I am grateful and I'm happy that the experts actually called her out on it. And they said, you have to show your vulnerable side. Everybody's got a vulnerable side. You can't always be this happy-go-lucky and expect, your husband to be happy with that. You have to also take feedback. So in this case, I'm happy that they showed Emma that it's not just Casper and the words he said on the honeymoon. Since the honeymoon, he's been putting in the work. You haven't done anything. You've closed down and you've put on this smile. And now it's like Stepford Wives. You're not going to change because you're in this happy place and you want everybody to be happy and everybody to see you happy, keeping up appearances. And so, am I surprised that Casper said leave? No. After the way he yelled and screamed and shouted in the background after the dinner party, I'm not surprised he left. Yes, they say the honesty box brought out tension. I think there was already tension there. I think Casper was already at his wit's end and the honesty box was the final straw. And so, I'm not surprised that he wrote leave. I'm not surprised they wrote leave because I would have written leave as well, because what's the point of staying with someone who doesn't recognize their own mistakes or doesn't recognize their own shortcomings? Emma wrote stay because she said she wanted to show Casper that she could change. I think she needs to completely change. I'm not saying she should ask Casper to jump her bones. That's not what Casper's asking for. He's not asking her to cry, but he's just asking her to show him when she's feeling low, when she needs to be picked up, when she's feeling, vulnerable and she needs him to sort of step up. That's what he's asking for. And if she can do that, then I think there is possibility of change. Hopefully they're not, the couple from last season, Tom and what's her name? I've forgotten her name, who we all thought were doing very well. And then suddenly when they went to home visit, she said, no, I'm done. I'm fed up. I don't want this anymore. So I hope if they make a positive change, they actually make a positive change for the better and not just to stay in the experiment. One thing I find sad about the commitment ceremonies is you have these couples that are doing amazing and then you have couples that are struggling. And for the couples that are struggling, it's really sad when you see somebody who's over the moon and is excited about their partner and is complimenting their partner. And you could see that on Emma's face because next up is Sasha and Ross. And Sasha and Ross have already told each other they love each other. They're in this good space. Ross has met her parents. The dad approves and he really feels they're in a very good space. And so for someone else to be sitting there and watching this is disheartening. So you have Sasha sort of ask, I want to know what I can do for him to rock his world because he's always doing these romantic gestures for me and I really appreciate that. And I want to do something for him, but I don't know what it is he wants me to do. And it's like, as a viewer watching, her getting the sign language book was quite a big thing because she understands communication is big for him and she's going the extra mile to say not only does she speak slowly and clearly for him to understand, not only does she make sure that she's facing him when she's speaking, that way he doesn't miss anything, but she's gone to the extent of getting a sign language book so that she can learn a new skill to allow her to communicate better with her partner. And so I like that he said she is enough. Everything she does is enough for me. Ross was smitten from the moment he saw his wife. And so he's in a good space. She's in a good space. They're non-confrontational. I'm not surprised he's happy. I'm not surprised she's happy. It comes out that they've said, I love you. He's asked by Paul and he screams it out loud to say, if everybody wants me to hear it, say it, I love her. And it was cute. It was a really cute moment. And it sort of eased the tension from the sort of Casper and Emma situation. Is anybody surprised they wrote stay? No one should be surprised because they're in a very good space and they're very happy and they seem at peace. So I wouldn't be surprised with them staying until the end of the experiment unless something really comes in and rocks their world, something drastic. Next up is Alex and Holly. Alex and Holly for me, a roller coaster. That's what I'm going to say. Because when they're good, as they say, they're very good. It's not that they are not attracted to one another. It's not that they don't like each other as people. Their problem is communication. Communication is their issue. In the sense that you have these incidents whereby Alex's nonverbals speak louder than the words that come out of his mouth. And the experts called him out on this, that you do have these nonverbals that can be terrifying, because even for us as experts, at times when you don't agree with us, we actually see your nonverbals. And he says because of his body and stuff, he's always worried that if he raises his voice, people are going to think he's about to go to war. This is why he's always very sort of cautious of how he speaks and how his words come across. And I give them credit for saying, yes, you're doing that, but also you need to understand that you are showing these nonverbals that your wife has already complained about. Holly has complained about these nonverbals, that they terrify her. In my opinion, no offense, I do not know Holly. This is just an observation. I think Holly's been in abusive relationships. Physically abusive relationships. And I think because of that, this is why she hates confrontation and she sort of cowers down. And I don't know why this has not been discussed, because it seems she's afraid every time they go into confrontation that Alex is about to attack her. Whether this is from Alex doing something or saying something or giving her the indication that he might do that, or whether it's from a previous relationship, that's the impression that I get. So I feel like what they should have done is maybe record Alex's nonverbals, play them for him to see, so that he sees how he comes across when he's not talking, but he's just using his nonverbals to communicate. And this will go a long way, and this will really help build and strengthen his relationship, because he'll be able to understand what everybody else is talking about when they say his nonverbals are quite scary, because they are. He has this look on him that looks very menacing, like he's about to attack, or he's about to, about to attack someone. And he says that's never his intention, but that's how it comes across. Holly still likes the fact that, he does her, well, it seems he knows her love languages. He's able to sort of make her a cup of tea, make her feel beautiful. I assume it's compliments. I think he does little gestures, and she appreciates that. And this is why she wants to stay in the experiment. I think if they're going to stay together, they need a lot of work in the experiment one. And after they leave the experiment, they need to go to counseling, couples therapy, and then family therapy, so that the children can sort of adjust and Alex can adjust to life with a single mom. And hopefully they'll make it work. But for now, they still need a lot of therapy too. I think they should have gone home. I don't think it's that bad enough for them to go home. If there were signs of physical abuse, then I'd say, yes, she needs to go home. I feel like it's just Holly's trauma and Holly's past that's playing a major part. And Alex is, the way he's very defensive. He's always going into a conversation being defensive. He's never going into a conversation to listen and to understand and to grow. It takes a lot to get through to him. And I think because the experts are experts, this is why at times he listens to them. And he puts a lot of emphasis on respect. But he doesn't seem to understand that he also needs to give respect in order to receive it. Next up is Ryan and Shannon. Ryan and Shannon was short and sweet. Ryan and Shannon, their issue at the wedding was that Shannon thought, he was a pretty boy, and she was worried that he was an F-boy, and he's proved her wrong, because finding out he's a bin man, he's had cancer, he's a dad, I think are things that made her realize that, there's actually more to what's on the cover of the book. And knowing that he's been through this, and this is the journey he's had to sort of navigate to get to where he is, I think allowed her to sort of open up. And yes, I still don't get why they matched someone who's had cancer with someone whose dad died of cancer. It seemed that's something that's bonded them in that he was able to sort of help her sort of navigate her grief and get her to a happy space. They say they're doing very well. They don't have any issues. I like the fact that when they were asked about being physically intimate, Ryan said, what happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors. But the experts knew what that meant was good, because, you didn't want a Richard from Australia thingy where he talks about we've done every single thing under the sun. So I'm happy for them. Is anyone surprised that they both wrote stay? No, they were both going to stay. So I'm not surprised that they both chose to stay. Next up is Adam and Polly. What do I think? Adam and Polly should have gone home. They should have gone home. Polly's on cloud 9 because she's getting cuddles in bed. She's getting kisses. She's having sex with Adam. And she's saying it now feels like they're in a relationship. In my opinion, it sounds more like friends with benefits. It sounds more like friends with benefits. That's the impression that I get. I don't think it's at a point whereby I would say it's a proper relationship, because Adam's reasoning is that, he's been waiting for this spark, and he's realized that in order for this spark to happen, he needs to be physically intimate with her. And it's like, I don't think that's the case. But if that's what you want to tell yourself in order to convince yourself that this is a good thing, then do you. Polly is on cloud 9. She's on cloud 9. She's happy. She wants more. And it's like, you shouldn't be asking for more. He should just be doing it because he wants to do it, not because you're asking him to be more verbally sort of assertive or affirming that, I really like you, you look beautiful, you look stunning, this, that, and the other. No, you have Ross there who's doing every single thing for his wife, and his wife is asking, what else can I do for you? And he's saying, you're doing enough, you are enough. So he should do enough if he likes you. I don't get why the experts are saying, yes, do more sex, do more this, do more. They're not a good couple. They're not a good pairing as far as I'm concerned, because this man is now just going through the motions in order to stay on the show. That's the impression that I get, unless the editing is what has convinced us that he really doesn't feel her that way, because it's a sudden turnaround from him saying there's no attraction, there's no spark, I don't feel the need to kiss her, I don't feel the need to, and then suddenly he's got the urge and the need to kiss her, to make love to her. And it's like, make it make sense. Which is it? Does he like her enough to have sex with her, or does he not like her enough to have sex with her? What has changed? Yes, he had a home visit, but is that enough to say that he's suddenly jumping her bones every single night? I don't get it. They both chose to stay. Am I surprised? No, because Holly's in a very good space. He even acknowledged that from him just starting to, be physically intimate with her, she's really changed and is really seen a positive side to her. And this is the difference between Polly and Adam and Casper and Emma. Casper and Emma, for me, Emma is right not to want kisses or cuddles or sex, but I think she needs to open up more. And hopefully if she opens up, then she'll be in the same space, although it's an unhealthy space, but hey, it is what it is. Next up is Orson and Richelle. Orson and Richelle, I remember saying that they need to leave. Because their narrative from here on out is not going to do any great service to Richelle. And sadly, they chose to stay last time, and this week they chose to stay. They were asked, because Richelle is complaining that Orson can't lead her. She doesn't feel she's gaining anything from being with him. And it's like, what sort of masculine man are you used to? What do you mean by you're used to a masculine man? Because he's physically active. I assume he trains, he goes to the gym because he's a previous sportsman. What is it in particular that he's not doing? Is he not yelling at you? You said the sex was good. Is he not commanding you to do certain stuff? Is he not being sort of Alex type of man? Maybe that's who she needed, because I don't get exactly what she means by he's not man enough. What qualities does he lack that she needs in a man in order for her to feel like he's a man? And for her to say she wants a leader to go where? No one wants to be led. You should be your own person. And then the two of you come together with your own ideas and then decide on where you're going. You can be co-pilots. You don't necessarily need someone to lead somebody anywhere. So I don't get where she's coming from. I don't get why Orson doesn't speak up for himself as well. I think he's worried that if he does say anything, then he'll get the Alex edit. So I think this is why he chooses to sort of bite his tongue, because at one moment you saw that he was about to explode and then he was able to sort of contain himself, or whether it was the edit, because he looked up at someone. I don't know whether he was looking at the experts to sort of say, help me, because they asked Richelle, what have you learned from Orson? And she says, well, ask him. And he said, no, the question is yours. You answer the question because you're the one who's been asked, what have you learned? And she says, I haven't learned anything. And it's like, that is a lie. That is a lie. You can't say you haven't learned anything. We all learn something new every day. It doesn't matter who we come across. We learn something new every day. And so for her to say she hasn't learned anything from this man, I feel like it's just her taking a dig at him. She feels aggrieved, so she's going to take a dig and make sure she makes him feel the pain or the hurt of whatever she's going through. I don't know why she needed to say that. They then sort of have Orson and Richelle both choose to stay, because Richelle says she chose to stay because he said he wanted to stay and speak to the experts and find out what else they could learn. That I don't think is a good enough excuse. That's just my opinion. Although she says it was her daughter's birthday, so she's missing out on her daughter's birthday so that she could stay in this experiment. He says he chose to stay because he feels like this is something there. I said this before. He really is smitten by this lady and will do and say anything in order to make her happy. And this seems to be the theme. And for her to call him Kretznin, it's a stupid person. Why would she call him a stupid person? Why would you call him, why am I've stayed behind, this stupid person, and yet he has the audacity. She's upset that he's called her out in front of the experts. And because she knew the experts would challenge her, this is why she didn't challenge him, and she's hoping to do it in private. And it's like, well, if you know that, you're this strong, powerful person who no one can teach anything, why not say something in front of the experts? You know they're going to call you out on your BS. This is why you've chosen to say this in private. I don't get them as a couple. I wish they'd both gone home. They deserve to both go home. Next up is Kieran and Christina. Kieran and Christina are that little happy, bubbly couple that are just bouncing everywhere and are just excited to be with one another. And so I'm not surprised that they're doing so amazingly well. They have a conversation, obviously, about parents' visit. Her friend came. Her friend was happy with the couple. Even his mom was excited because she could really tell her son is happy. The fact that he wouldn't discuss his intimacy with her and was very reserved about certain things, I think, reassured the mom that he's really liking Christina. And then they're told, you're doing very well, so you don't need us. And Christina's like, we do need you every day. Our only problem is he's got a cold sore. And so since the honeymoon, they haven't been able to kiss. It's like, oh my God, the problems that others have. Others are struggling to connect, others are struggling to kiss because there's a cold sore. And she says, I keep watching this thing and wanting it to go away, and it never goes. So I can't wait for it to go down at the expense. And everybody laughed. I love them. They're a very cute couple. They complement each other very well. They balance each other out. And I think because they've been through traumatic relationships, this is why they're able to sort of appreciate the relationship that they're in. They both choose to stay. Am I surprised? No. Next is Nate and Lacey. Nate and Lacey are happy-go-lucky. They're just a happy couple. They're happy to be around each other. I know at the start we were all very nervous, especially with the comments at the wedding. And so they are in a good space. And I think a lot of the other couples have a lot of love and respect for them because they really see how well they're complementing each other. I know I was anxious that how can they match a guy with ADHD with someone just because her twin sister has ADHD. But the difference is, unlike Jordan and Erica from last season, they sort of complement each other in the sense that Erica is more of a calming force, and Nate on his part is a calm force, regardless of his ADHD, which I love. They spoke about the incident with Erica's mom where she was upset about the food, and it's like, it's not a big deal as far as I'm concerned. It's not a big deal. The mom knew he was a vegetarian, and she still brought chicken because she said that's her daughter's favorite meal. So anything Nate does for me is all good because the mom is the one who opened that door. The audacity to bring something that somebody doesn't eat and then expect them to cut it and stuff, I don't get it. He did apologize. He's still very apologetic about his comments about the food, that it looks like bottom bin. And everyone was just laughing because they could tell that he really felt bad. I love the fact that Lacey still is defending him even in front of the experts, and she really appreciates the man she's been matched with. So nobody's surprised that they chose to stay. They were going to stay anyway, so hey. Lastly, it's Hannah and Stephen, and we all know it's about to be a train wreck because they're not in a good space. Obviously they speak about their wedding, that everything was happy-go-lucky up until they had the fight, and then Hannah threatened to reveal a secret. And it's nice to see that the experts actually hold Hannah's feet to the fire because they actually want her to acknowledge that, she was wrong. And she says that, I didn't plan on revealing a secret. I would never do that to anyone I know, anyone I love. It's just I was upset and I was just saying anything to protect myself. And it's like, well, in your efforts to protect yourself while you're angry, you could have easily revealed the secret that he won't reveal, and he says is something that's very important and very earth-shattering for him. And so for you to say that you weren't going to use it, what else were you going to use if not that? What else did he tell you that you said off camera were you going to use outside of that secret that he's talking about? Because if you say I would never use that, that means there's something else you're going to use. because you said you wanted to reveal what was said off camera. And so for her to apologize, I think she should have apologized the very day, you know, that it happened. I think he would have taken it? No, I don't think so. She apologizes in front of the experts and everyone, and he refuses to accept the apology because he says, you know, I don't trust that she would not have used it. And he's now apprehensive in the sense that every time anything happens or goes wrong between the two of them, he's thinking somebody's going to say something. You know, she's going to tell someone, she's going to reveal my secret. And it's like, why would you reveal something so delicate and vulnerable to someone you barely know? It's your own fault for revealing the secret. It's your own fault for telling her. You were not forced to tell her. You were so excited, and in your excitement, you decided to tell her, not knowing who she is and whether she's capable of keeping a secret. Now you're in this situation whereby you're walking on eggshells because you're worried that she's going to reveal whatever you said. If I were you, I'd run to the person you're speaking about, because it's obviously, it involves other people. I'd run and tell them so that you give them a heads up in case she eventually reveals the secret. Because once she leaves the show, there's no guarantee that she won't tell one of her friends, who might end up telling the media, and then the secret will come out. It's really sad that this is where they are. It's really sad. She apologizes. He refuses to accept the apology. I thought they were both going to leave. I thought they were going to leave because I think everybody else expected them to leave. Anyway, Hannah chooses to stay, and he chooses to leave because he said, after saying everything that I've said, there's no way I can turn around and say I want to stay, so I want to leave. But as the experiment dictates, they both have to stay because she chose to stay. Do I think they're going to work? No, I don't. No, I do not see them working. I think this is the end, the beginning of the end for them, and it's only a matter of time before they both decide to leave, or one of them storms out and then the other one has to follow. What do I think? Do I think the producers will want to get rid of Hannah? No, I think they might rematch her as they did Ella last season. So I think they might rematch her with somebody else and see if that works that way. But hey, it's only a matter of time, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 16. Bye guys.